At least tell me if the
Alright,
Premier have
welcome
harmed
back
a
for the
nest.
next one. Hopefully I have a usable
thy only
video
concern,
source
as thou
file
art
to
being
use for
taken
this.
as a slave,
This is the
the
fourth
help of
time
some
I have attempted to play
other
through
slave?
this particular mission
Thou
of this
must
game,
develop thy
and having
self-interest
nothing
if
but
thou wish
trouble
to
with it not
survive
recording
the
correctly,
ordeal.
with it not saving correctly, with it not rendering
if the nest has been
correctly,
harmed.
and
Oh,
finally
who can
this
keep
morning,
track of
I've got
such
my son this
things?
weekend.
When the silver
He's been
poureth
in his
like
room watching
water, I have
Bluey
not
and
the
videos
time
and
to
stuff, so I
track
decided
every
since I've got some
slave.
peace and quiet, let's try another
Nest has been
playthrough. It
harmed.
seemed
I
to
will
record
destroy
right
thee
this
in the most
time, so we
painful
got it
manner
rendered
possible,
down, and
even
let's
if it
see
takes
if we can
1,000 years.
get another one in the can here.
Impertinent for a slave. We shall see how a
This
few
one starts
weeks of
out pretty
starvation
interesting,
calms
as
thy
you
hot
see.
blood.
Thou hast heard my oath.
You're in a prison in a Teutonic Knight rectory here in the middle of the city of Vienna. You get out of it a pretty interesting way. You get to see a pretty novel and accurate to the lore use of one of the weirder Knight disciplines.
Seems impenetrable.
No! I will not go back to a Tremere dungeon!
Not yet, anyway.
And lend me a bit of thy blood. I have a plan, but need all my strength to make it happen.
Take all thou needs.
I'll continue after this is done. This is pretty cool. I want to let this go before I keep talking. Or get into something talking.
Free! Oh, so it is freed.
I have a score to settle with those Teutonic Knights. They reflect badly on my homeland, and I must smite them before the locals think we are all ignoble knaves.
Freedom is sweet, and their blood shall be the sweeter.
There we go. Sorry if there's a little audio glitch there. I goofed up with the transition between the videos. As I said, I've been having some trouble with videos. This is a bit of a put together of a couple of different. Now it is picking up where I did the playthrough, the most recent one this morning, which, as I said, is my fourth time through this. As you'll see going through, I don't do the, in fact, you haven't seen me do it yet in this game, the wonderful, use the little magic trick to get back to your haven, and then go sell things, and then come back. If I can't carry it, I'm not picking it up. Also, as I mentioned in the other one, why it's very, very, very handy to have Theft of Vitae, as you see right there, it's an instant kill because all these Teutonic Knights are mortal. They're not anything supernatural. The other to that being, they are all, as you saw, and is modeled head to toe clad in full plate armor, which is not accurate for the time period we are, but again, video game. But that means that you can't feed from them. You can't grab a hold of them and feed to get blood back. So without Theft of Vitae, you are reliant pretty much entirely on bottles you can pick up, or the occasional rat you can pick up from things. And with 4 of you going through this using disciplines, that can be a no-go as far as keeping your people alive. You'll also see at the very end of this, the final little battle we have here, twice on previous playthroughs, Kristoff was killed in that, or at least sent into torpor, and I finished it with the other 3 and then was able to revive him afterwards. But this one, I just by slightly smarter play, I don't have that problem. But you'll see me pick up a couple of scrolls of Awaken as we go through, just in case, which I ended up not using. And also this will end at the shop at the end of this, and not with all of the selling and everything I have to do at the end of this. Partly because it takes so long, and partly because I'm actually going to be going with an earlier save going forward from this. Because, as I'll explain when I get to the end, I don't know where it was that I missed it, but I missed a very, very important relic weapon thing that you can get in here. Don't know where I missed it. I'll point out at the end what it is, so you'll know going forward what to keep an eye on.
Slaves are free. Capture them,
But
not let them escape.
yes, I'm going to be going with that
Wise
save because that is
we
one
can
of my
stay and
favorite
feast
weapons
on
you
thy
can
soft,
get in the game here.
warm blood.
Fine if I Y-scape and we can feast on your warm, soft blood, and we can't from it. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to point out with this, if you know the Dark Age Vampire or Vampire the Masquerade lore, again, as they've mentioned many times, you're in the middle of the era of the Tremere, Shimase War in Eastern Europe and all that. The Teutonic Knights, as you see in this, it just says Teutonic Knights. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a second here. But they did kind of get drawn into that in the game lore itself. But the thing is with that is it's not really the actual Teutonic Knights, quote unquote, that are drawn into it. At least not in the main version of the story. You can look at this as being a side story because it doesn't really contradict. It's just not in the middle of. But anyway, there is a shadow order within the Teutonic Knights called the Order of the Black Cross, which has a whole source book in the Dark Age Vampire line, which is actually one of my favorite source books in the game. But the thing with them is, that at this time the Ventru very much are nobility and martial prowess more than they are the later with mercantile and wealth and things like that. So to try, to have the influence with the holy orders and have access to, good stock for embracing and all that. I won't even say corrupt, but they kind of worm their way into and create their own little, secret society within the Teutonic Order itself, which is something that, a lot of, at least in the way it's explained in the game lore, there are the higher-ups of the Order are aware of it, but it's kind of like a, what do you want to call it, a hierarchy or conspiracy within a larger organization thing, where people are aware of what it is, or aware that it exists, but they don't really know what it is. And rumor and myth kind of keep it going in that no one really figures out what they're actually up to. So no one really gets their shit together to fight it. But it's basically a Ventru-led secret society within the Teutonic Knights that doesn't go against the larger order, but kind of uses that little element of the order to further the aims of Clan Ventru and the other things, their political and military aims. They also do work with other orders like the Templars, the Hospitalers, as you see with Christoph, the Sword Brethren, which at this time are separate but end up eventually being absorbed into the Teutonic Knights. I won't get into the whole story of what the Teutonic Knights are, other than by the name. They are a predominantly German military order of the Middle Ages. They're kind of where the Templars are largely French and English at their origin, even though they do become all across Europe and the Middle East. The Teutonic Knights are very much German, Austrian, we'd say now. That part of Central Europe, and then extending into northeastern Europe and eventually settling, Prussia and things like that. But at this time, what's going on with the Order is they have been invited more or less to help out historically that is, in Eastern Europe in the Carpathian Mountains by the Hungarians. And eventually they overstay their welcome and they become a little more powerful than those who invited them in are comfortable with, so they are driven back out. But that actually goes in, continued on with influence. If you look at maps of Transylvania and Romania today, you'll notice there are still cities and areas of Transylvania that have German-sounding names in the names of the cities and some towns and some of the other things in the area. They're actually, just because the order was driven out did not mean the German influence was driven out. There was actually a sizable German minority that lived in the area right through to the two world wars of the 20th century. Before, after World War II, they were mostly driven out by the socialist, new communist government of Romania and their Soviet overlords, more or less. That, you know, in Poland too, they drove out the ethnic Germans. But, you know, there's still to this day the area that they settled in, what they called the 7 towns and fortified little settlements that they created were originally called the Siebenbergen, or the 7 castles. And the area, it was still into the 20th century referred to as that. It was also, it could be Transylvania, it could be Carpathia, or it could be the Siebenbergen, depending on who was referring to it. And more or less, the Siebenbergen, the 7 settlements that they founded, they do still exist, and historically they are referred to as that, just not, you know, colloquially anymore, because the Germans have been gone for so long. Plus, an awful lot of Romanians I know really, really, really don't like the Germans. So I can see why they don't really refer to it by a German name anymore. In fact, most of the Romanian people that I know despise the Germans just as much as they do the Russians, which is saying something. You'll also notice, too, with the labels of the areas that we're going into, you are ascending from the bottom to the top of this. You start out in level 4, go through 3, 2, and 1, and then work your way out. There are several of these where the doors lock as soon as you walk in and trap you in here with what you're up against, and I find it easier to just run in and not have to deal with them trying to follow you, because sometimes they will get stuck in the door and the clipping error will cause them to get stuck to where the door won't open or close properly. So just keep them behind you and just run in. You'll also notice I have Serena is still armed with a bow and arrow. I think this will be the last mission I have her in that, because I think now after this I'll be able to get into a decent enough weapon for handheld for her to use with her abilities. Not that the bow and arrow is useless, it's not the most effective thing she could be using, and we're coming up on the end game of the medieval part of this in the next few missions here, so the more effective her weaponry can be, the better. Same with everybody. You want everybody with the best you can get them, because you're going to be coming up against more and more stuff here, so be ready to fight. As dumb as it might look, those rats are not useless. You can pick those up and feed off them to get some blood. It's just, for what you get out of the blood, they're really not worth the space in your inventory to pick up if you don't really need them. Like, if you need them, then by all means pick them up. They're better than nothing. But they give you much less than, say, a bottle of Vitae or a bloodstone or blood pearl or blood bag. Definitely. Better than nothing, but not by much in comparison. That Cauldron of Blood is a pretty good attack, it basically makes the blood in the target explode, doing massive damage. However, you have to touch them to do it. So it's not exactly the best in terms of keeping you out of trouble like Theft of Vitae and some of the Lure of Flame stuff is.
To the abyss with thee!
Noticed that he was getting close to frenzy somehow. That happens with the weapon he's got. He'll be losing that soon. I'll be swapping that out for something without the drawbacks at the end of this.
To the abyss with thee!
It's a good devastating weapon, but the drawbacks of it are a bit of a pain in the ass, especially with Eric. He's very close to his beast anyway, so anything that makes him more likely to frenzy is not good for your long-term health. That's why I gave him the Ring of Serenity and stuff, if you see in the inventory that he's got anything to help keep him from frenzying. Because it is very bad when the giant hulking brute of a gangrel with a battle axe frenzies in the middle of a battle. Trust me.
To the abyss with thee!
Not something you want to experience. The one of the voice call-outs you hear with this one, something when the Teutonic Knights, the "I die," that's something that's been lived rent-free in my head ever since I first played this game. I don't know why, I guess I've always found that hilarious. The "I die" and fall over. It's one of those things I've done several times playing games and stuff, and then have to explain to somebody what the hell I'm talking about and where that came from. And honestly, this is one of those where I'm just doing all the picking up just to show it, because as I said, that this playthrough is not the save I'm going with going forward. So all this money that I'm picking up and all these things I'm picking up to sell, I'm not actually going to get anything out of them. But one of the earlier ones that I did do, I basically sped run through this without picking stuff up, and the entire playthrough of this took like 15 minutes. You can just blow your way right through this if you're not stopping to pick things up and not going through the rooms checking on things. You just go through the main path without branching off. You can get through this very quickly. However, this is set up to be a classic dungeon crawl where you're finding things and picking things up and running across hidden things and things like that. And if you're not playing it that way, A, it's much, much, much quicker, but B, you're also missing a lot of the fun. So I redid this playthrough today and went through, and even though I'm not going to get anything out of it, I did go through and try to go through all the rooms, even if I don't pick all the stuff up and show what's in them. And, oh, and by the way, as you notice, we're suddenly running into Premiere in here. That becomes more of a thing. Also, you heard, you see it there when you hear in the background, because it happened earlier in the mission, which might have been one that I didn't end up using for a playthrough. But I kept hearing a random howling in the distance, and I was like, I know there's not lupines in this, so what the hell is... It's, one of the animalism abilities allows you to summon a wolf to your aid, and it announces its presence with that howl. So if you heard that a little bit earlier, that weird random howl, that's the wolf that either Eric or Wilhem summoned to their aid here. That you did see, and I think now it's already gone. And this is another example of the wonderful little glitching you have when the AI characters will not get out of your damn way, including the ghost that for some reason you can't walk through. It's very frustrating, but this game loves to do that. Yes, it does burn. Fire does that. You see that little blue thing? I'm going to go back in a minute and pick that up. That is something you absolutely have to pick up when you go through this. Like, it does not take any room in your inventory, and it looks like something that's just a dumb little thing. You need to pick that up for the next portion of the playthrough. If you do not, you cannot get into the next stage of this. That is 100% a requirement that you pick up that little blue thing that's on the ground back there. And I've got Lure of Flames now. Although I don't level it up until the end of this stage, but now I can literally say I didn't ask how big the room is. I said I cast Fireball. Coffee. Happy Magic Brain Juice makes things go fast. Wait for the portcullis to go up very, very, very slowly. But we are well past the halfway point of this already. Okay, we're now in the second. And somewhere in this, I believe, is where I miss the item that I will have going forward because it'll be a different playthrough. And I honestly don't know where or how I missed it. Like, it's not in any hidden area or anything. I somehow must have just gone past a whole frickin' section of this dungeon without noticing it, even though I tried not to do that this playthrough. Yeah, like, if you're not looking to pick stuff up, you're in a hurry and you just want to get out of here and get on with the thing, you can skip all these little side rooms. They're just a couple of opponents and then chests full of random drops, some of which will occasionally give you something good, some of which will, for the most part, give you crap. But if you need money or you're trying to look for things, it can be worth it. And this is definitely one of those two where any of these things you can pick up, the bloodstones, the blood pearls, the blood pouch, any of that, even if you don't need it in this part of the game, it is definitely worth it to pick up later, or for use later, because you are getting into some pretty good sections going forward here, where blood is handy to have because it can be hard to come across. So it's better to have a surplus of food, basically. You don't want to starve in the middle of a dungeon, just like any other game. So better safe than sorry. Pick it up, take it with you. I'm trying to keep an eye out on the playthrough to see where it is I might have missed that room. Hey, the fascist symbol. It's also one reason I make sure I leave a few things sitting on the floor in any of these rooms I go into so I can visually see what I have gone into. You do run into some stronger Tremere in this one than you did in Arden's Chantry. You're now in Vienna. You're not in the backwoods of East Bumblefucking Prague. At least as far as K-Knights are concerned, Prague is East Bumblefucking. Son and I have both been coughing a lot this weekend. All of a sudden, I think the weather going up and down is getting to us. We had cold and snow all week, and now it's raining out. Yeah, at one point during the playthrough of this, I literally had in my head of, why am I picking all this stuff up? I'm not going to be able to sell it because I'm going to be not using this save, but whatever. Then again, maybe if I had missed that thing that I keep saying that I missed, I would have used this save in the long run. But we'll see. It might have been, I might have missed a room on this level now that I think about it. I might have meant to backtrack and go back for something and then not done it. That might be what it is. Because it's a large, well laid out, defended room that the thing is in, so I'm thinking it might have been up here, but I will see, because I just had a thought when I came up here of where it might have been, but I could be wrong. I could be remembering wrong, and I did go into the room I'm thinking of here, but we will see. Hold, villain. Do a lot of beheading in this level.
Over there.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I know where I missed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know where I missed. There was another door
Tremere here,
more or less
allied with the
behind
Teutonic
this
Knights,
room we're in now
towards
that I
some
think
fell
I
purpose.
missed, that I was supposed to go into.
They show
That was where I would've
strengths
found
against
it.
the Tzimisce throughout the forest and nearby lands.
This fortress appears to be the seat of the Ventru and Tremere alliance against the Fiends.
We must tell this to Ekaterina.
And what it is that, since I know I'm not going to be picking it up, even if I'm wrong about where I don't get it, I'll try and explain it now. There is a weapon you pick up called the Alucard sword, which, if you know Castlevania, is, I forget the name of it, but it's basically the sword in that if, every time you use it, you heal a little bit. And in Castlevania, like, every time you use it to heal and you get the blood of your target on it, it, like, levels it up and powers it up a little bit to where by the end of the game, it's like, it insta-kills pretty much anything you hit. This one isn't quite that overpowered, but it's almost obvious that it's meant to be an homage to that weapon because it will, it uses Theft of Vitae anytime you hit a target, for the most part, on pretty much any successful hit. It will drain blood from the target and give it to you. And then, I believe it also does aggravated damage. So it's pretty badass. The only problem is that it is a two-handed weapon. So I have to lose my shield, which I don't like. Between that and Theft of Vitae, pretty much going forward in the game, once you have both of those with Kristoff, you basically never need to feed on anyone again. you basically just become the walking blood bag for your coterie because you're getting so much blood from everything you do and have the ability to from everybody you attack as you go through the game that you can just keep feeding everybody else and then upping your blood by fighting other people. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have had it by now. It was in the lower level there, so yeah, I think that was where I missed it. But when you walk in, there's a whole, like, mural on the wall above it, and it's on this, like, plinth pedestal thing. And the mural on the wall, if I remember right, looks like something lifted right out of Castlevania. It's definitely meant to be a homage to that. Which, considering the late 90s, early 2000 vampire game where you're doing a dungeon crawl, makes sense. Oh, wait. Yes, the first time we run into that. Call lightning. That will not be the last time we run into that. Although, I don't believe it gets used at the end of this. That is what killed Kristoff the couple of times at the end of this, the fight. What he does this time, I tried just to see if it would keep him from getting killed, and it worked very well. So. Yeah, if you hadn't noticed, if you're close to frenzying, use your healing ability, your blood heal, and that will get rid of that. I like how even after you behead them, they still stand there for a minute. You can hit them again. Don't need the scroll. I have the ability. So this one coming up, the dude with the horns on his helmet here, right there, the Teutonic captain, he drops a very good axe. That he's carrying, so I take, and he's pretty strong, so I take him out with the effect right off the bat. And then after you're done with that, you can pick up the axe that he was carrying, and that has pretty much the same stats as the one that Eric is currently carrying, without having the risk of him frenzying anytime he uses it. So, there you go. I think it actually does more damage. So we've got this one last up here where we have to open the door to get out of here after fighting the last couple. And then we will be done with this. Only a couple of minutes left to go. So just so I'm not talking over this stuff at the end, because we're pretty much getting there, I will, this little fight, you see the little trick I use here, the Theft of Vitae, as long as you can see it, you can use it on it, and there's one right there is your Tremere Lord. And I believe that took enough blood from him that he's unable to use his Call Lightning, or if he does, no, yeah, he's unable to do it. This one still has the fire and stuff, but he can't call the lightning. He's not powerful enough, I don't believe. But anyway, we're pretty much to the end of this, except for where we go talk to Orvis, I believe his name is. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out now. Thank you for watching this. We will talk to you later. Please, if you get the chance, give a like and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one when we move on to the House to Hexy and fight the Tremere. Have a good one.
What dost thou know of the House de Hexi?
Only that the Magi within were once part of our order, but have of late been up to doings unknown, allowing none entry to their fortress. The Order would be grateful for anything that thou may learn of them, or do to them.
We cannot enter the fortress either.
Thou needs must have the Amulet of Etrius.
Amulet? We found this amulet with the Tremere.
This is the very thing. It needs must be filled with magic to work. I will enchant it, if thou promise to return with the Journal of Etrius.
Why seek you this journal, Orvis?
We seek to cleanse our hermetic order of the taint of the Tremere. And we must learn more about the frightening loss of magic in the world that began at the turn of the millennium. Magic fades from the world, and we know not how to stop the inexorable ebb of the magical tides. The Tremere have learned some of these secrets, but will not share them.
If we find such a journal, we shall give it thee.
Then I shall enchant thy Amulet of Etrius. Go quickly. The Tremere are invading Zenitsi territory this night to launch open warfare, leaving their chantry largely unguarded. I wish thee luck.
I thank thee, Orvis. Now let us split asunder das House de Hexi.